Hello and welcome. My name is Kinley Mehta, and I'm a second-year PhD student in cognitive science at IIT Gandhinagar. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Ron Mehta, president of the IIT Gandhinagar Foundation in Palo Alto, California. Ron has been a serial entrepreneur in the plastics industry in New Jersey, California, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Canada. He is a licensed professional chemical engineer in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and a certified volunteer mentor of SCORE, Central New Jersey, a nonprofit resource arm of the U.S. Small Business Administration that provides free counseling and mentoring to small businesses and entrepreneurs. Ron received his BTech degree in chemical engineering from IIT Bombay and master's degrees in chemical engineering from the University of Connecticut and in engineering administration from the University of Utah. Ron is currently President Emeritus of IIT Bombay Heritage Foundation, the alumni body of IIT Bombay in the US, and he is the co-director of the Water Program for Wheels Global Foundation, a US-based nonprofit started by IIT alumni in the US that involves using technology-based philanthropy for rural development in India. Ron is joining us for a conversation on life as a student at IIT Bombay in the late 1960s, what attracted him to becoming involved with IIT Gandhinagar, and share information about the work the foundation in IIT Gandhinagar's development. Ron is joining us from New Jersey. Good morning to you, Ron.
Thank you very much, Kinley. It is a real pleasure to join this on call with you. I guess it talks about the difference in technology over the 50 years that has occurred. I graduated from IIT Bombay in 1970, and in a kind of a coincidental manner, it was the 9th batch of IIT Bombay, because IIT Bombay's first batch graduated in 1962, and I was noticing before getting on to this con call that a couple of months ago, IIT Gandhinagar also graduated its 9th batch. What a coincidence. While I remain a proud alumnus of IIT Bombay, and having spent the 5 of my most precious years that I still remember to this day, surrounded by very bright and very smart fellow students, and also some great professors. So I have such fond memories of what India did for us. It's hard to believe that the entire annual cost to study at IIT Bombay, or for that matter at any other IITs, there were only 5 of them in those days, the total cost was only 2,000 rupees per year. That included tuition, included hostel fees, lodging and boarding, including going to see movies and so on and so forth. My dear late dad thought that was the cheapest education you could ever receive at such an elite world-class university.
Okay, Ron, we have some questions that we'd like to ask you about your experiences and your development throughout your career from a student to professional life. You mentioned that you're a IIT Bombay graduate in the 1970s. Can you please tell us about your undergraduate life at IIT Bombay?
What IIT Bombay did for me, and I believe that tradition, that proud tradition, started from the times of India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, who helped establish the IIT system with the first IIT established in Kharagpur, was to take students and train them intensively in a manner so that they can achieve technological expertise that can be deployed to solve the world's problems and mainly India's problems. Unfortunately, and I use the word unfortunately very seriously, in my days, there were not enough opportunities for many of us who graduated from the IITs. So sadly, almost 80% of my graduating class would end up going to study in the US. And then like everything else, we build our lives, we go on and get additional professional degrees. In the US, we start our jobs. Many of us start industries. For example, what IIT taught me was to think on my feet, to take even the toughest problems, to sort of break it down into solvable segments and then attack them. That has always helped me in all my life, my professional life. After working for others in corporate situations for the first about 15 years of my life, I decided to work for myself, and I started my first plastic manufacturing company in New Jersey way back in 1990. Since then, I had been involved in 6 different plastic startups. Some we bought and sold companies. We operated in several states of the US. We hired well over 1,400 to 1,500 people who got employment in my companies. And ultimately, I sold the last company in plastic blow molding manufacturing in 2013. Since that time, I have been involved almost full time in philanthropic work, including giving back to India, the country I love and I'd love to support in higher education and in solving some of the problems related to water and sanitation and maternal and child health issues.
How did your IIT education shape your future?
One of the biggest aspects about the IIT education was it taught me that it was not necessary to know everything, but it kind of pointed out where you can go and find the information. It helped me to find out how you can network, how you can get resources to help your cause. I mean, some of the things we studied I thought were useless. Like, for example, in the very first year of my engineering program at IIT Bombay, we studied engineering and machine drawing design. And I was becoming a chemical engineer. And I said, why am I wasting my time studying this nonsense? Fast forward almost 30 years later, when I had my own plastic manufacturing companies. And one of the unique things about my company was that we essentially made our own complex plastic molds in blow molded parts. And we were using lights out manufacturing and basically various sophisticated surf cam type programs. And the guy who was my chief mold maker, he used to talk about stuff that he thought I would never understand. And suddenly stuff that I'd studied 30 years ago, like development of surfaces, came back to me. And he said, Ron, how in the world, as an engineer, particularly a chemical engineer, you would know that? I said, well, that's what I studied at IIT. So that just gives you the kind of composite and complete knowledge base that was imparted. We had a 5-year bachelor's degree program, which has been now shortened to 4 years. In my time, it was 5 years. One of the regrets I have, which I believe IIT Gandhinagar has bridged it, was in my time, there were very few courses taught in liberal arts or in social sciences or in ecology or culture. I believe the unique programs that IIT Gandhinagar has started under the able leadership of its charismatic and dynamic director Sudhir Jain and the young, highly talented faculty that he has brought on at IIT Gandhinagar, where they have introduced programs which are totally unique in India, such as a foundation program, such as the Explorer Fellowship, such as internships in foreign countries at various universities like Caltech and Duke University and elsewhere, bringing in summer programs from Cooper Union's renowned invention factory, recent development of adding Maker Bhavan and Tinkerer's Lab, incubator cell, and establishment of a research park, all seem to indicate that in a very short period of time, IIT Gandhinagar will be one of the top 3 IITs in India. As it is, it's already ranked 4th in India according to the Times Higher Education in the World Rankings of 2021. And I'm also excited that the IIT Gandhinagar students are heavily involved with community outreach programs like NEEV and giving back to the society in the environment in which they live, where recently during the COVID-19 pandemic that is still ongoing, they collected tremendous amount of money and provided help to the poor villagers in Palaj and Basan, which are the 2 neighboring communities at IIT Gandhinagar.
Looking back, what are some of the things that you would have done differently when you were a student at IIT Bombay?
As I mentioned earlier, I wish we had a more liberal arts and a focus which was not so much based on silos. And what I mean by silos is we had distinct departments. They were even physically separated, like the mechanical engineering department had its own building block where basically only mechanical engineering students congregated. Similarly, for chemical engineering or material science or for civil engineering and so on. What IIT Gandhinagar has done, which is what I hope IIT Bombay would have had it in my time, is they have broken down these so-called artificial walls. And it is really a refreshing sight to see, for example, a professor and a research team working on issues related to material science next door to somebody who is from civil engineering, or another person sitting next to them in computer science or in cognitive science. So this way there is a tremendous amount of interaction between different disciplines, which did not happen in my time at IIT Bombay.
So you've been a very active alum of IIT Bombay, including serving as the former IIT Bombay Foundation president. You played a very prominent role in shaping the alumni giving culture of IIT Bombay. Now you are more focused on IIT Gandhinagar and are very passionately involved with it. Could you talk about what attracted you to become involved with IIT Gandhinagar?
A couple of things that made me, when you are 71 years old, actually it started when I was about 65, and I started coming to India more frequently, like 2, 3, 4 times a year. What I found was bureaucratic lethargy had set in the older IITs, like my alma mater at IIT Bombay. If you gave a donation to do a simple project that involved some infrastructure development, the project would be years behind schedule. There would be 1,000 reasons given why it can't be done. And when I met Sudhir Jain, particularly after the new campus was built and everybody had moved in, it was so refreshing to find out that he never said no, it couldn't be done. His first answer that yes, that's not a problem. We will do it. We will work with you as a donor. We will develop a new system that probably did not exist before, and breaking down walls and barriers towards achieving a system, assigning an enthusiastic faculty member or a student to work with you on that gives donors a tremendous amount of comfort that their money will be used and utilized in a very proper manner. Second reason is I have emotional ties to Gujarat. I was born and raised in Ahmedabad, and I spent the first 15 years before I went to IIT Bombay at schools in Ahmedabad. I was a student at a girls' school, which allowed boys in those days, called Mount Carmel Convent, for the first 3 years, where actually, believe it or not, I met my wife. And from kindergarten to 3rd standard, we were in the same class. And then I was in St. Xavier's High School. So I have a great deal of passion to work in at an elite institution in a manner in which I could help out. So I've been fortunate enough that I have more than enough money to live and give back to India. And one of the three areas where I have been able to contribute, one of them, the first one, is to give towards academic institutions. And IIT Gandhinagar ranks at the very top. About a year ago, 2 years ago now, we established in the name of my late parents a merit-based scholarship to allow the top 5 students who pass the JEE Advanced and are in the highest rank to join IIT Gandhinagar. Um, I've also been a significant contributor towards bringing in the Invention Factory program at IIT Gandhinagar. Um, when we established a nonprofit foundation of which I serve as honorary executive director called WIN Foundation, which does work in water and sanitation and maternal and child health. Our offices are headquartered at the IIT Gandhinagar Research Park. And very recently, in fact, the initiative just concluded in the US. As president of IIT Gandhinagar Foundation, we launched a COVID-19 related empathy fund initiative. And I'm very proud and happy to state that although we had earmarked to collect $150,000, we have exceeded that by collecting in excess of $175,000, which in a record time of no more than 3 weeks. This happens because I get the constant help and support from people like Jason Manjali, who is in charge of the alumni and in donor appreciation, and people like Nirmal Jha and Achal Mehra, and of course Sudhir Jain is always in the background. He's available, approachable, and he's a great friend of the students. I think his motto that students come first is not just an empty slogan, but I think he practices what he preaches.
Given your extensive academic background and your serial successes in the corporate world in America, how do you think, as students, we can more effectively communicate the experiments and innovations in education at IIT Gandhinagar?
I think some of these things are already happening. For example, these the Tinkerer's Lab, thinking out of the box, using innovations to develop prototypes for some of the main issues related in our real world. And then ultimately, when you graduate, not just to think about a job to go work for a corporate and make a lot of money, but to do startups. You got to remember that probably the most entrepreneurial state in all of India is the state of Gujarat. And Gujaratis are known to be entrepreneurial in nature. And IIT Gandhinagar is actually doing a great job in bringing these entrepreneurial skills to the fore, teaching students how to think, to start their own business, a startup in no matter what area that they can do. So I think communication and networking is important, particularly on social media, getting exposure to what the world around you is, not just in your isolated area around the campus, but like, for example, using the Explorer Fellowship Program, or even internships in foreign countries, which IIT Gandhinagar is very strong on. These are some of the things that are very helpful to make a complete your knowledge, your education, very rewarding experience.
You are currently the president of the IIT Gandhinagar Foundation in the US. Can you share with us how the foundation is involved with and contributes to IIT Gandhinagar?
IIT Gandhinagar Foundation is a United States-based what is called as a non-profit under the IRS um, clause called 501c3. So all contributions made to IIT Gandhinagar Foundation are to the fullest extent of the law tax deductible. And what is unique about IIT Gandhinagar Foundation is that, like I mentioned, there are only 9 batches of students who have graduated from IIT Gandhinagar. So the alumni who are from IIT Gandhinagar who are in the US are very young in entry-level jobs. Some of them are still finishing their PhD or their master's programs. So you can't expect them to give a lot of money. But what is really very rewarding to know is that a little over 50% of all alumni of IIT Gandhinagar give back to the institute, which is a phenomenal number. In comparison, at IIT Bombay, it's not even 20%. It's a very high number. It's probably one of the highest in the world amongst universities. Um, since these alumni are very young, IIT Gandhinagar Foundation, which has been around for about, I believe, about 7 or 8 years, most of the board members, with the exception of one, Ronak Mehta, who graduated in 2016 from IIT Gandhinagar, rest of us are from older IITs. There are 5 of us who are from IIT Bombay. There are people from IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, and so on. One from LD Engineering College, and an alumni of LD Engineering College in Ahmedabad. And what we have done is we have actually excited some of the people who come originally from Gujarat. And what is most surprising is that 2 of our largest donors, Dr. Kiran Patel and Dr. Jagdish Patel, are not even engineers. They are physicians in their own right. And they have given millions of dollars to IIT Gandhinagar Foundation and through that to IIT Gandhinagar. So that clearly shows that IIT Gandhinagar is on the right path. We are doing something that is very useful. Next to, until about 15 years ago, there was only one institute of national fame and recognition, which was IIM Ahmedabad. IIT Gandhinagar has now joined the ranks where I can definitely say that there is not just one, but at least 2 such elite institutions in and around Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. So that in itself has helped us to help programs. We have had large donations to help out in establishing a Maker Bhavan. I mentioned about the Invention Factory program to assist in a school of sustainable development and so on and so forth.
We have many prospective IIT students who have just finished their JEE exams. What advice do you have for them as they prepare to undertake their new college journeys?
I would tell them, and mainly their parents, because at age 16 or so, 17, 15, 16, 17, you are often guided by what your parents think where you should go. Don't just look at the old IITs. As a matter of fact, if I can take time back, instead of joining as a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed guy in 1965 who joined IIT Bombay, and just imagine going back in time, or going forward in time, whichever way you want to look at it, knowing what I know now, I would not join IIT Bombay, even though it has a reputation of being the #1 IIT in India. I would much rather join IIT Gandhinagar, because IIT Gandhinagar has a unique DNA for taking students and molding their minds, not just in imparting technical knowledge in their chosen field, but in developing a complete student to have empathy for the environment, for the poor and the disadvantaged, for a feeling of brotherhood or sisterhood with your fellow students and looking at the world, that the world is my oyster, essentially. So I would definitely, for one, pick IIT Gandhinagar without batting an eyelid.
Thank you, Ron, for your contributions to IIT Gandhinagar and for sharing your thoughts today.
Thank you so much, Kinley. It was a real pleasure talking to you.